Hello world! Chevron, see out. Ha! It's your cool cat, RyanCier, and today I'm showcasing a little project that's kind of a change in pace from my regularly scheduled programming. This is my attempt at a Sonic Retrospect. Hello, I'm standing up now. Courtesy of two other YouTubers. I've left their channels in the video's description below. And it's more of a lounging, laid-back, gameplay-based account of our collective experiences. There'll be funny jump cuts, weird ROM hacks, but all in all, the conclusion is up to you in your comments down below. Also, yes, this was technically supposed to be a hype video for Sonic Frontiers, but stay tuned for future Let's Plays I do on Sonic games. Now on 3, let's flip together. 1, 2, 3, 1B. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to a funny little series I'm doing, Sonic Retrospects. That's crazy. I'm RyanCier, and this is
Max. You might know me from parts abroad. Right now I run a YouTube channel called LateStageYGO, where we play Yu-Gi-Oh! And then also other card games when time permits. But great to be back on here, Ryan. Really interested in what you've cooked up this time with regards to the Sonic history.
Yeah, so forever ago, on a YouTube channel that is no longer in existence, we did a Sonic Retrospect video, and I think it's been a long time coming. We've always been trying to do it again. I remember when we did the Too Many Cast episode, that was like some sort of culmination attempt at being like, and maybe in the future we'll come back to this and it'll be about Sonic instead of politics. And now here we are. So, and that was like 2 years ago at this point. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it might even be more than that, but it might have even been 3 years ago. But
likely.
Yeah, that is a good point. And here we are with the very first level of the very first Sonic.
Yeah, this is Sonic 1. It came out in 1991. Pretty sure.
Yeah, congratulations. You cleared it in a minute and a half, which is about as long as you needed to do the intro. So I don't know if that's an S, but it's pretty impressive to me, because the last time I played this was on a Sega Genesis.
Last time I played this was on my phone, because I have an emulator on my phone as well. So I'm living that emulator life. It's so crazy, because everyone's getting into the Pokemon Violet and Scarlet now or whatever, and I'm still playing like Fire Red, because I have an emulator on my phone of all the 2000s Pokemon games.
You don't have to learn anything with the learn anything new with the emulator, which I appreciated. I went through my own like emulator phase, and I almost got a Steam Deck for that reason.
Steam Deck. Yeah. So let's see. We got a little bit of a soft script here, and we can just roll right into it. So the big thing, obviously, and it's come out already, but I imagine there's going to be another uptick again in Christmas time, because obviously a lot of kids are going to be getting this game on Christmas money. Sonic Frontiers. This is Sega's new magnum opus, because I've heard a lot about it. I know some of the artists who have done, not like personally, but I know like the bands who are going to be on the score for Sonic Frontiers. And I've heard that, it's going to be this big open world game. But I haven't played it, and I haven't watched too many Let's Plays of it, so I was trying to dig into the Wikipedia of it, and I didn't really get too far. But what can you tell us about it?
So for Sonic Frontiers specifically, like I'm sort of like you, where I've fallen off the Sonic wagon, but Sonic Frontiers actually looks like really, really promising to me. The open world stuff that, like, what's good about Sonic Frontiers, from what I can see, is that they're trying new things. They're kind of like, sort of like, what the Pokemon Company did with Arceus. Try a bunch of things, see what sticks. It seems like they're doing that. So like you have this overworld that you run through, and it seemed like it's still figuring itself out, but what is there is like actually super promising.
Yeah. So it looks like they are. Well, I read it on the Wikipedia that it said that they're trying to actually work at this from the ground up. That Iizuka said that he was trying to full on make not use any previous establishments. Apparently, they had said that there was a framework they were doing ever since 2008 Sonic Unleashed, and that was informing their games. And that in this game, he didn't want to be
interspersed throughout it.
Yeah, yeah. No, completely. Because I think that's what they said. They said that they were still interested in like they were still fans of like Mario and other kinds of Metroidvania sorts of games. But random note. But the one interesting thing that I like about Sonic that I think makes it distinguished from Mario in it's a minute way, but it's endearing, is the fact that Mario counts down and Sonic counts up. Sonic cares about like how quick you can do things, but Mario is like, no, you have to beat it in this allotted time. And I think that makes it distinguished because Mario then feels like very like, rushed to a degree. Like, oh no, I can't like stop and smell the roses. But with Sonic, you kind of can. So it's good stuff.
Like, let's say Super Mario 3D World, or not 3D World, Super Mario World 3, the one where you get the raccoon suit. Because some of those castle levels are really, really fast, right? Like the ship levels are super, super fast.
Oh yeah, because they side scroll.
Right, but I think again, before I get too far off topic, I think further to your point is Sonic. Like a lot of these Sonic games, there are points where you're just running and you're just sort of taking it in, and then you'll be prompted to jump or duck or whatever. But like with the Mario games, if you're going fast, you're usually doing something like, every 10 seconds you're performing an action. You have to jump, you have to duck, you have to like, or else you'll die immediately in levels.
I'm about to get hit by this lava, aren't I? Yup.
Yep.
See?
That's great.
Oh no!
100%ing Shadow the Hedgehog is that is a tough hill to climb. I feel like you're in an elite class of people who did not do that.
So, like, I nearly 100%ed it. What happened was, I did all the story, where you had to do, because each level would have, like, 3 things, where it would be, like, you want to do the good side, kill all the aliens. You want to do the bad side, kill all the military soldiers. You want to do the neutral side, just get to the end and literally get the Chaos Emerald. And I would do all 3 stories for each level to 100% like that. Then what would happen, though, is because it was like this Sonic game, and it has this weird like par time thing where it's like get an S, an A, a B, or a D, or whatever, or something like that. At some point, I then went back and tried to see if I could get like an S on like all these levels. And I ended up doing an S on most of them, save for like the space ones, where you're in the space colony arc, and you see like figments of Maria or something, like weird like past Maria is like trying to like talk to you. So
that's interesting. So we kind of jumped over like what was probably my favorite Sonic series, which is the Sonic Adventure series. To this day, I don't really think Sonic ever peaked higher than that for me. And what's funny to me about that is, especially on Sonic Adventure 2, I know like it was just like 300 hours in the Chao Garden, getting all the different like Chaos Chao, and I don't think I got all the secret Chao. Like I know we didn't get the Tails Chao, but definitely got the Knuckles Chao, definitely got the Sonic Chao, definitely got the Shadow Chao, and like 1 or 2 Omega Chao. But yeah, the Sonic Adventure games are the higher watermark. I keep hoping 3D Sonic games will hit, but I just haven't seen it come to fruition just yet. And a large part of that for me is the Chao Garden not ever making a comeback.
I played that originally when I was 8, and then I really tried to beat it again when I was like 15. Like, oh man. Because it would just always be a thing to revisit, because I had it on the Game Boy when I was like 8, and then I would find emulators of it, and then I would because there used to be an emulator I would have on my computer like as a actual program, but then that like went away for some reason. The website the website went down, and then I had an emulator on my phone, and then right now I'm playing like an emulator on a browser, so I would always revisit it. Advance 3 I think was. It's interesting because I remember looking at the Wikipedia of it like a few years back. They said that people were like somewhat interested in. They thought it was somewhat cool that you could like pair up the characters, because you couldn't do that in Advance 1 and 2. But it was one of those things where the play still felt very like go forward, go backward, go forward, go backward.
Right.
And yeah, that's the thing. Because someone was like, because especially around the 20 2010s, late 2000s, it was like really like easy and fun to like hate 3D Sonic and love 2D Sonic. But at some point that started to like fall to the wayside because I'd be like, oh yeah, dude, Sonic Advance 3, right? And they'd be like, well, all you're doing there is also just pressing A and up down all the time. I'm like, shit.
You know, you compare Sonic Advance 3 to Red Dead Redemption 2, and no, you don't have a million buttons to do like one action, but you also don't have a million buttons to do one action. Like, the game is self-evident, and that, you know, in terms of like getting people into the game and just like replayability, like I haven't played Sonic Advance 3 in like probably like 8 years at this point, and I could pick it up. I could probably pick it up tomorrow or today and know exactly what I'm doing. You can't say that about most games now. But also, Sonic Advance 3, irregardless of being 2D or 3D, is just one of the best games of all time. Like, it is pretty
You're preaching
high
to
on
the
my
choir.
list. It's pretty high on my list.
You're so preaching to the choir. It's actually, let me tell you how recently I played this game. Because it was, so I had a job at a restaurant back in 2021, and, oh, hello. And what ended up happening was, they were, like, really chill about, like, what you could do on, like, breaks, and, if you didn't have anything to do. So, I always had pulled out my emulator, and I was like, hey, do any of you guys remember Sonic Advance 3?
Right.
And it was, quite a few of them were like, oh, I think so. Let's see. Oh, Eggman's pithed. Pithy withy. Oh, got him. Okay. Shadow the Hedgehog. And I'm looking at it, and now I played Shadow the Hedgehog of my own accord when I was like 9, and I didn't really think to compare it to anything at the time. But looking back, holy snap, because I never got into Sonic Heroes.
Right.
Looking back now, Shadow the Hedgehog insanely pulls from Sonic Heroes. Like, you can see word for word, like, it is verbatim pulls from so many things. Like, the graphics, level design, it's nuts. Like, Shadow the Hedgehog is just angsty Sonic Heroes. Like, it's weird.
Which is, as the cast of characters, you know, develop more fans. You got your Knuckles fans, your Tails fans. They tried to make Blaze a thing that was never going to happen. But as that cast gets bigger, they want to come up with ways to incorporate them, especially with the comic book, to incorporate them into the games. And I think Heroes was like an attempt at doing that. They built off of the team system that they established in the Adventure series, and then they expanded it out so you could you didn't just have the light guys and the dark guys. You also had what is it that the chameleon,
Chaotix, the Chaotix.
Yeah, the Chaotix detective agency. And
yeah,
that was like super interesting. It's just the point-to-point gameplay is not good. Like, the power characters, sort of need their, like, had their own, and then it makes sense too, right? Like, you're designing stages for 3 types of teams, 3 types of characters with like different abilities. Of course, the stages are going to feel unbalanced. People go to Sonic because they want fast running stuff. But everything they've tried to do with the floaty characters and with the power characters has just fallen flat on their face. Some of the levels people hated the most in Sonic Adventure 2 were Tails' levels, or especially the Knuckle and Rouge levels. You feel like you're on track. Like, I think of a good example, the one that immediately comes to mind is like Waluigi Pinball. It doesn't really feel like you're on a track. Or what is it, DK Mountain, when you come off the starting line and you get shot through the cannon, and then the on the lap you're going down the mountain. That doesn't necessarily feel like a track. You're like engaging with the worlds in a way. And
yeah,
I did lose some of that in the Sega Allstars Racing, which again isn't me trying to like poo-poo it. Like, I enjoyed the game, and I think the criticism was undeserved. But yeah, did they ever release a sequel for that? You know, oh, actually,
I think they did, didn't they?
All-Star Racing Transformed. Yeah, I didn't play that. But speaking of Sonic racing games, Sonic Riders.
Oh yeah,
Sonic
yeah.
Riders.
So I have a so like it was so interesting seeing that these are basically characters like just kind of revamped and a little recollaborated and redone. I feel like from Fighters.
Yeah, Fighters was another one. That was a little. It was a little crazy for what it was. I don't think it was ever really well balanced, but it's fun. Like boot it up on an emulator. Like I dig it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, actually, to my earlier point about Sega having a hard time marketing Sonic or marketing other Sonic characters outside of Sonic, Sonic Riders, if it had caught on, I think would have done a great job, because I think they did do a pretty good job of giving all of those characters their own sort of personality in that game.
In Sonic Riders, you thought they really fleshed them out? Huh.
Or no, I wouldn't say they flushed them out, but they all felt unique, and you gravitated towards your character, or whichever one you liked. I don't think the story mode is particularly strong. It's probably one of the weakest ones, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I only rented it out for like some amount of days. I'm guessing you actually owned it and got to experience a lot more.
Yeah,
I just kind of, yeah.
I think I still own it.
Well, maybe you can play that game on your Yu-Gi-Oh channel, that's so interesting. It's like, tell me a little about this YouTube channel that you got here, this Yu-Gi-Oh channel.
It's
after I drown.
Oh damn, that's frustrating. Yeah. The YouTube channel is. Well, it's about to be 2 channels. So the main channel, LateStageYGO, is just, LateStageYGO is just. It's me, my friend Alessio, and a couple other people in our Discord who we started last year doing a progression series, which, everybody on YouTube is doing them, where you go back, you open a bunch of packs from old school Yu-Gi-Oh, you make decks, and you play, like, playground Yu-Gi-Oh! But where me and Alessio on the channel, we do other stuff. We do... Alessio has a real fun series of shorts and stories and stuff from just all around. And we're doing box openings as well. But we're starting up a second channel pretty soon where we'll be doing Magic content, in IRL content, and then also game and anime content as it comes to us. We have a bunch of stuff recorded. We just need to get it on the YouTube.
That is really cool.
Yeah, that's been a ton of fun. The whole return to YouTube, like, we've made a lot of, like, we've made a small community here or there with people who are also, like, interested in, just playing some card games and just playing some games, or some tabletop games in general. Yeah, that's what we've been doing on the channel. We just turned 1 year, like, last week, I think.
That's nuts. Get on my level. I'm 3 years. Let's see. I'm actually 2 years according to YouTube, because YouTube does this weird thing where they really do wait until the last very day or whatever. Yeah. YouTube's timeline is interesting, but I'm 2 years according to YouTube. Let's see. No, that's cool. IRL, I actually play a lot of Magic. I play Commander, and I've actually had to tune some of my decks down because they were too strong. For the friend group, and that's very intriguing when you're at that level, because it's like, what the hell? Because it's weird. My my escalation with skills at Magic and like Hearthstone has been weird, because like I started playing Magic Commander back in 2017, and then I was just shit, and then all of a sudden, like, Commander Legends came out with the in 2020 with this AC Tyrant of Gyre Strait precon that was a Simic thing. And all of a sudden, everything fucking clicked, and now I'm playing like Elf Ball and like Kalia and like Urza, Mono Blue artifacts, and it's just like freaking people out. They're like, "How the fuck did you get so good?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know." Like,
yeah, that's a big thing. That's a big thing in card games in general. Is like finding, what your play style is. I think is hard at first. I just had my first EDH game, like, I want to say a few months ago. And, like, my big difficulty with Magic so far has been, I don't have the, like, years of experience in Magic that I do in Yu-Gi-Oh! And, like, Hearthstone and other card games. So, it's hard for me to find decks that I like. Like I have, you know, I tend to gravitate towards aggro decks or like heavy disruption decks. So like I think my most successful deck that I've built so far has been, and with the help of friends, is that
Death.
green red landfall deck.
Oh,
And-
what Omnath?
With Phylath and a few other things. But that was fun. That was a ton of fun. But it's also just not how I want to play. Because it you know, aggro games are like very boom or bust. Either I
What do you
open up.
mean? Because I like creature sling too. Do you mean you like going wide creature sling? I've never specifically heard of aggro. I don't know.
Yeah, so basically the deck wins by getting out one of the... It wins by getting out the small weenies that have landfall triggers.
Yeah, so Secret Rings and Black Knight, I tried to get into because I got them on, I think, on my birthday one year, and it was like my first year in high school, and holy moly, those, like it was so refreshing to see Game Grumps try and play Black Knight, because I did not enjoy those games, but I thought that it was kind of just me. And now I'm seeing like 30-year-old grown men play this game and like losing their minds at it, and I'm like, oh, good, not just me. The game was just like that, like weird and stupid. You know, it was bold of them to like do that sort of weird like Sonic, like lullaby stories like arc that they did with Secret Rings and the Black Knight, because that was like King Arthur and then it was Arabian Nights. But like, man, yeah, E for effort. But like I didn't like those games. I know a lot of people didn't like those games, so. Yeah, I'm sitting pretty saying that they were bad, like...
Those could have been Knight's game. Like, they didn't...
Oh, yeah.
They didn't really feel like Sonic games, and if you were gonna do something that felt, you know, so dreamy, like, it would have been interesting if they had been reconfigured as Knights. But as it stands, yeah, Secret Rings and Black Knight, and, you know, obviously, what is it, Sonic Unleashed, all came out in a period where Sonic really just didn't know what it was.
Like, they used to be Archie, and now they are IDW. And, what's your take on that?
I don't have a strong feeling either way. I know, I follow a couple of the guys who contribute to the artwork, like, on social media and stuff, and but I don't have strong feelings about Archie versus RDW. Sorry, IDW, how have they been handling it? Did they reboot the world, or are they just carrying on the Archie stories?
I don't, so, my friend had basically the volume collection of the IDWs, and it turns out that, I don't know if it's a reboot, but they seem to just be in some sort of weird, like, what do you call it, like a freedom fighter kind of situation, where, a bunch of, like, I think it's like a bunch of like Eggman robots went like rogue against even him and also Sonic's friends, and because this is like always what happens, right? Eggman tries to be greedy, he makes a big old project to stink up the world, and then the project turns even on him. And then that seems to be like the story right now in AW, where it's like a freedom fighter thing, where Sonic and a bunch of people are like have split up and have gone across this planet to like I think it's Earth. It might be Mobius though, to kick back all these crazy aggressive robots, and it's interesting because, you know, there's this concept that often happens in media that's somewhat geared towards children, where whenever the media tries to actually flesh out like the characters and tries to give like weight and consequence to what happens, apparently it's called being darker. But I don't know if it's just like being darker as much as it is just properly actually giving weight and consequence to like characters in the story, because they fleshed out a lot more, I think, in the IDW comics why Sonic is always so like a deterrent from like Amy's love, and that usually never happens, right? That's always played up for laughs. It's like, oh, hey, Sonic, I love you, and then Sonic's like, get out of here, thought. So like that's, whereas in this one they actually address it in a quite a moment, and so that's like really cool. But I wouldn't necessarily say that they're darker than the Archie comics, because, first of all, as we know, Archie Comics killed off their fucking main character, didn't they? Like, wasn't like that was a character named Archie who had like a weird like movie theater crown hat, and then they shot him or something.
Yeah.
And then there was an old comic in the Archie comics for Sonic where I guess like Shadow the Hedgehog like kills Sonic or something in this one comic run. So I'm like, what in the world? Like, I feel like Archie was like a lot darker.
Right, there was a lot of murder in that Archie run of comics that if I can remember.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm RyanCier. I'm here with Max, and we are playing some Sonic CD. Sonic CD is a game that I remember fondly from my childhood. I must have been 9 or 10 when I played it the first time around. And the intro song, Sonic Boom, is a score that still gives me goosebumps to this day. Max, what can you say about Sonic CD?
Well, as you can see, this is my first time maybe ever playing Sonic CD. I did own the Mega Gems collection. I just don't remember a ton about CD other than the, that amazing intro sequence, the Sonic Boom. I still get chills just thinking about it. But as far as Sonic games go so far, it plays like a Sonic game. It looks like a Sonic game. This is a really interesting first... Is this the first level? Yeah, this is the first level.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Getting used to the spin dash being on the jump button is like really weird, because I think later they changed it to the B button. So you had a separate jump from your spin dash. So right off the bat, that's a difficult thing for me to handle right now.
Yep. Whacked by those jars. Those make an interesting comeback in Sonic Advance 3.
Wow.
Now, yeah. Oh yeah. You're gonna have to load some or put some save states in. There's a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It's called like an OVA, but in English, it was just called like the movie, where basically it's from Studio Pierrot,
yep.
And it is basically, the plot is like some sort of like president's daughter or something of the sort is kidnapped by Dr. Eggman and Metal Sonic, and there's basically kind of like a weird like Terminator 2 thing that happens at the end, where like Metal Sonic turns good and like dies in a vat of lava to save everyone else.
Oh, I remember that storyline. I don't think I remember I ever saw the movie though.
Yeah, and for some reason Knuckles has like a cowboy hat. I don't know why they thought that looked cool, but yeah.
High key, my favorite like Sonic era, because like that was around the time that Sonic Underground was airing, and I loved Sonic Underground.
Sonic has two siblings, Sonia and Manic. Oh, okay.
Yes.
They're part of a royal family who were forced to separate from their mother, Queen Alina, upon Dr. Robotnik's takeover of Mobius due to a prophecy told by the Oracle of Delphius. Wow, that's... Good thing Oracle of Delphi isn't copyrighted.
His sister's name, but that whole block was amazing. If I remember correctly, it came on with Street Sharks at one point.
God, this came up immediately. That's really cool. What is this? Street Sharks is an American superhero animated series about the adventures of crime-fighting half-man, half-sharks. What?
Yep.
You're telling me TMNT, like, survived this?
Yes.
That's nuts.
Also, yeah, oh wow, look at that. We cleared. Also...
2 minutes, 41 seconds.
There's a wonderful video of Vin Diesel doing like a commercial going through the individual Street Sharks and their powers. It was the weirdest crossovers.
Toy Fair performance with Vin Diesel 1994.
Yes.
I think it's, yeah. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm the research guy now. Here we go.
What was your Sonic CD experience? Like, I know you said that you played a ton of it.
Yeah.
And that it's probably one of your favorites.
Yeah, so I had a similar experience. Funnily enough, at this point right now in the contemporary, I'm closer to having played Sonic 1, 1991, just because that was an emulator game on my phone. But when I was 9, 10 years old, I played Sonic CD. I got, same like this, I had the Gems collection. I got both Shadow the Hedgehog and the Gems collection when I was like 10 years old, and So it was so weird, like going from like super edgy like Shadow to with a gun and being like damn and crap to being like, you know, Sonic CD being like, woo, I'm gonna save the world. What?
Sorry, I just have to ask, am I just bad, or was this also difficult for you when you first started playing it?
I want to say it's a learning curve, but it's not even a learning curve. What it is you just have to be in like a frame of mind. Like that's straight up like what this like early Sonic, a lot of early Sonic games are. They're only like hard if you're like darting your eyes everywhere. It's really bizarre. Like if you just like sit back and just like get in that frame of mind where you're like, this game is just bouncing me the fuck around, then you basically like do really well. If you're
Right.
like, that's how I feel with with a lot of like early like 2D Sonic games. They just bounce me everywhere.
I'm like trying to run through the level too fast. Also, this is
That's-
definitely
exactly.
not the first level.
Yeah.
I think I loaded into like one of the later levels, and I feel a little bit better about looking so bad.
Yeah, I don't know how
Okay.
you loaded into the metal one, because the metal one is like the Dr. Eggman kind of thing. With Sonic CD, I was formatively young, and I remember I had it on the Gems collection as well,
Right.
and I thought it was the first Sonic game. I didn't know about Sonic 1 1991 until like a bit later. And of
Right.
course, that game properly is called Sonic the Hedgehog, but since there's been so many different incarnations of Sonic the Hedgehog games, because like technically speaking, Sonic 06 is actually called Sonic the Hedgehog as well.
Yep.
So I'm just going to call it Sonic 1991. But I thought this was the first game because it looked so retro from what I had known at the time, which was Sonic Advance 3, the adventure games, and Shadow the Hedgehog.
You just saw a CD and thought, oh, this is the old one.
Yeah, precisely. I was like, oh, this must be when someone literally played it on a CD for like a Windows 94 or something. Because, funnily enough, and I had no idea at the time what I was looking at because I was like 6 or 7 years old. But my dad had played Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, and there were just these like cat people walking around, and I was like,
the Khajiit.
yeah. I'm like, oh, that's a cool game. And that was back when I was 6, 7, and 2 years later when I was 9, 10 playing Sonic CD, I was like, this feels like the Morrowind of Sonic games.
I could see that. I don't know if you saw that little loop-de-loop that I hit. That's definitely the precursor to the first level being like this grand set piece to like really get you hyped for it. Like City Escape, it's the precursor to that. Like you get this first level, you have this loop-de-loop that changes the perspective to 3D, and you're like, wow, this is something else.
Yeah, so Sonic Movie 2 was what I saw.
Right.
And because that was put in front of my face, because what was happening was, it was me, my girlfriend, and my other friend. My other friend wanted to take all three of us out to the actual Kino to see it, and what ended up happening was that like fell through. And my girlfriend was like annoyed, and she was all like, okay, I'm just gonna show it to you on Netflix or some crap. And so I was like, okay, solid. And so we just like watched it like one night, just like totally like passersby. And I think it was around the time too that like it was shortly after that was when like Bridgerton popped off. Anyway, random fun fact. But we're watching Sonic 2, and that the one thing that I thought was stupid. I don't know. Maybe people love this. Maybe, you know, like I don't know where the pulse is now in these opinions, but like I thought that the way that they tried to introduce like Shadow at the very end of that movie was fucking dumb. Because it was so rushed, and they were specifically just doing it on the basis that you had to know and had to be all like, oh my god! Like you had to feel like it was like an Easter egg for like a longtime fan.
Right. What was that after the credits?
Yeah, it was an after credit scene because they wanted to be like fucking MCU. Yeah.
I hate after credit scenes at this point in my.
You hate after credit scenes in 2022 when it's been going on for the past 11 years?
I thought it at some point. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But I just can't do it anymore. I'm over it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It was an after credit scene. It was so dumb. I thought that movie was funny because I don't know. I feel like it had a lot less focus on Jim Carrey's Eggman though. But that's. I wish I would have seen more,
Compared to the
but that
first?
was compared to the first, but I also didn't see the first. The whole thing about it was that it was basically like Eggman. It was introducing Knuckles, and it basically introduced Knuckles, where Eggman he ends up like getting a portal to Knuckles' world or something, and he basically like tells Knuckles and all the islanders on Knuckles' planet like, hey, this blue guy is trying to steal your shit, dude. And Ezra, whatever his name is all like, I don't think so. And so he wants to go toe to toe with Sonic. And I guess like the whole thing is it's kind of a say when the what's it called when the owners are away, the mice will play.
Right.
When the cat's away. It's one of those cats away, mice will play movies because basically James Marsden goes away with his adorable girlfriend and they go off to some sort of beach or some sort of marriage or something. Oh my god, and fucking, was he in the first movie too? Shamar Moore from Criminal Minds is in Sonic 2.
No, I don't remember him being in the first movie, but I believe that.
It's such a weird cameo.
Also, did you say James Marsden of Dragon Ball Evolution fame?
No, wait, James Marsden from X-Men? Wait, was he in Dragon Ball?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Or am I confusing him with a different... White hair?
James Marsden, He's in the DBZ. James... No, wait. No, James Marsters was the DBZ actor's name.
Yes, okay.
James Marsden, let's see, he was in X-Men movies. He was Cyclops or something. He's a dude that has the visor on his face.
Oh, he was
lasers.
Cyclops. Yeah. No, I know. Okay, now I can. Sorry.
Yeah.
When I see Cyclops on screen in any media, like my brain just turns off. He's not. I just don't like him.
Oh wow. Hot take.
I've always hated Cyclops.
Yeah, so Sonic 2 was a Cat's Away Mice Play movie where basically James Marsden and Shamar Moore go off to like some sort of weird wedding vacation. And then basically Sonic's home alone and he's like trying to have some fun and he like, just gets soda and shit everywhere. And then Knuckles like fucking like Friday the 13th his ass because as Sonic's home alone, Knuckles like busts in. And then like, basically they just like duke it out and then Eggman's all like, yep, I'm here to like, cause shit to go nuts. And at some point in the middle of the movie, there's like there's a owner of like a coffee shop. I guess this is a callback from the first one, where some sort of weird owner of a coffee shop is like a super huge fan of Dr. Eggman, and he's like his like secret like agent posse guy. And
how does he get out of the mushroom dimension?
That's a good question. I don't know how he comes back. I forgot that part. Cause he just like he ends up getting sucked back into like Mobius, and then he just comes back out again. I'm like, okay. I guess he has a device.
Oh, so yeah, the first one is just more owl stuff. James Marsden's character adopts him. He's like feral in the woods for years. Somehow he knows perfect English though, or he knows perfect English from like watching TV shows, and that's where he gets his like he gets all of his. That's where he gets all of his like 90s slang and stuff from. He's just watching junkie TV in this small town. And yeah, he basically gets adopted by James Marsden and his like girlfriend, fiance person.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best movie. But it had its moments. I was hoping that the second one was Jim Carrey hamming it up is always worth the watch.
Yeah, I feel like that was the best thing about that kind of movie. And so when there wasn't a lot of Jim Carrey in the second one, I was just like, oh man.
I don't know what to do.
You're making me actually want to like these characters.
Yeah, it's tough. I think if you go into it like not really just kind of being there for the dumb referential humor, another thing that's like bad now, it's like, oh well, we got between Marvel and the Deadpool movies, referential humor is the only thing we have left. Everyone's like, stop. I just want characters to stop winking at the camera and, you know, just be in the movie, please.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess, let's see, did I ever ask what was your experience with Sonic X?
We talked about it a little bit.
We talked about my experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, that was my experience. Like, my experience with it was mostly just hating the kids, but like really enjoying the more sort of serious tone. It's still not my favorite Sonic animation. That still probably just goes to Sonic Underground, because I was closer to the age for it when it came out, and then I don't know. I just really enjoyed the aesthetic. Like, he had the best. Sonic had the best character in that, I would say. In Sonic Underground. Sonic X, I just really enjoyed sort of like the story and like the way they made you feel like, you know, it wasn't all just pointless get from point A to point B. Like, people had different, like, all of the characters we knew had different ambitions, and, you know, you could actually keep track of them. Rouge definitely benefited from that show a lot. For better or for worse, depending on, you know, which part of the internet you hang out on.
For better, so thank you. No. Man, what a weird little reputation I'm building for myself here.
Yeah, it's the second time in so many days.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting, though, is that filler. So, I will say, Sonic has this habit throughout the entirety of both, you know, games, movies, and shows, where it wants to be, because for the most part it is, like this kitsch, soft edgy, light edgy kind of like sort of thing. Like I guess I saw actually a video essay that made this distinction, where it was like there's like hard versus soft edgy, where it's like hard edgy is like Shadow and soft edgy is like Sonic, where he's like, I just want to do skateboard tricks and drink push pops, fuck girls, you know. Whereas like Shadow was like, I want to kill the government. And so, like, a lot of, like, soft edgy, Sonic is mainly soft edgy, but every so often, when he has a message, when the game, shows, movies want to send a message, they don't pull any punches. And that's always so interesting to see in Sonic stories. Hey everybody, welcome back after that little cute intermission. I was thinking, since we had touched upon this Sonic Saturn and Sonic Underground, it was a cartoon that you said was really taking you back. One cartoon that takes me back, and is a cartoon that connects to the video games, excuse me there, is Sonic X.
Right.
Sonic X through Funimation. What do you remember of Sonic X?
Sonic X, we've got Saturday mornings, we've got Fighting Foodons, we've got Shaman King, we've got Kirby, and of course, yes, we have Sonic X. I enjoyed it quite a bit. What is it? Dan Green doing the voice of Knuckles. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, Yugi doing Knuckles, yeah.
Right. It took on a much more mature tone than than previous Sonic properties, other than, I guess, the comic books and parts of Sonic Underground. You know, one of the most famous things from Sonic Underground was that episode where that female pilot died, right? Like, she just straight up died, and then in the Japanese version and in the Funimation or the 4Kids version, we got, like, she just, like, disappeared and never showed up in the show ever again. So, like, yeah, Sonic. But anyway, that's to talk about like the sort of edginess of Sonic X. But I think it and sort of connecting to what the movies are doing now, it did a much better job of characterizing Sonic and his friends, like, especially in the human world. Like, Sonic is just like this force of nature. It doesn't make sense that he exists, and the government and civilians are all, like, just totally dumbfounded by what he is. And I think that was the right way to go. Like, he still had all of his personality, but the show was really more about the people around Sonic than it was about, you know, the Sonic himself, if that makes sense. It was around,
you know, like, of course that makes sense to say, because there is that Chris that we meet. Like, that's the whole thing, is like, that's like Sonic's counterpart, is the kid Chris.
right.
And how obviously his grandpa seems to be like Tails' counterpart. Everyone seems to generally have their human counterparts. Rouge has that human
Right.
gun agent that's with her too.
Right.
I think her name is Topaz or something. But
Yeah.
yeah. So no, for sure. Like, there is definitely like a sense that everyone has their human counterparts. I still felt like it was cooler, and you know, whatever, right? It's me being a dumb kid, but like, I still felt like it was cooler to be like one of the animals than it was to be like one of the humans. Like, when I was watching that, I wasn't like, man, Chris is such a cool Sonic counterpart. I went like, fuck that, I want to be Sonic. But, yeah.
I mean, I hated the kids, and you know, it wasn't the only like Transformers was doing that around that time too. Like, that was just
Yeah.
like, oh, we need to have a kid in there so that the kids can feel represented, blah 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 blah, or like, so that they can connect with them. What I liked about Sonic, I don't know, it worked better for me with Sonic, because I didn't need Sonic. Like, Sonic didn't have to have like weird emo moments, or like, you know, he could just be a cool hot dog eating dude, and I think
Yeah.
that's what I appreciated about it. How am I supposed to get past this? Do you want to see a little bit of bad game design?
Sure, show me.
You need to do a double jump. You need to do a double jump to get here, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like a normal person who maybe hasn't played this exact game before, you might think, okay, I have to jump at the wall and jump again. But that could easily get... Do you see why putting a wall here is a bad idea?
Oh.
Because the same button I need to get over the wall also has this
it's sending you back. Yeah.
separate outcome. So I need to know enough about games that I know I need to be a foot away from the wall, I need to jump, then jump again.
Yeah.
Just, you know, a little bit of bad game design. It would be terrible if that happened in the first level, but luckily this is not the first level, it's the level after the first level. So I'm sure people were well versed in the game after that. Just mid 2000s Sonic team, man. They were...
Oh, this is Sonic Colors is like 2009. What is this? Hold on, let's see. Sonic
no, you're right. It's
Colors
late 2000s. I'm aging myself. No, don't look it up. Don't look it up.
2010. November 11th, 2010. That's crazy.
No. Okay. All right. After Sonic CD, in terms of like iconic Sonic openings, this is definitely, it's number 2. It's a close 2 after Sonic CD. This opening sequence, Sonic grinding on the rails with his soap shoes, introing everyone. It's like the coolest thing.
That's right. Yeah, no, the song that starts right about here, Live and Learn by Crush 40. I totally thought that song was really cool. Funnily enough, in the timeline of my life, I have lived such a weird backwards life. I was also like 7, 8 when I played this game. I played this before CD.
That's funny.
So yeah, my parents put this game in front of me, and they're like, it's a game. He's a young child, whatever. And then like, it was so bizarre because this was before I even knew what a Sonic was. And they just threw this in front of my face. And little did they know, I'd be making this video 20 years later.
Right. Walk me through this opening sequence.
So this is also in the Sonic X anime, where basically, I guess like he gets framed for something Shadow did. The sort of international police force gun is all like, we're gonna like ascertain you, and he's all like, he's so funny because like every other superhero in the world is like super moralistic, and they're like, oh no, I'll do the time, I remember watching an episode of the Flash CW, if you ever watched Arrowverse Flash.
I did.
Yeah, there's like an episode or something where he like gets like framed for something, and it's apparently during a time where he's figured out how to like fucking use the atoms in his body to like go through walls. But
Right.
he's like, no, I won't do it. I'll do my sentence. Not at all fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, he like gets falsely framed and he's like, fuck you. Like, I'm getting out of here. Fuck the cops. Like, it's so anti-cop. and it's like game for like 6-year-olds. It's
Right.
amazing. Like, so,
let's see if I still have it.
yeah, you still got it. You still got the pizzazz, the swagger.
Oh no, I always miss that one. That's always boo, disappointing. Boo, little stutter.
That's from Mario. King Boo. Oh my God, you just did a sick, gnarly ollie flip trick.
And we're in Sonic.
Yeah, and now we're back to like this game. This that part specifically right there felt like something from Sonic Unleashed. I don't know.
Oh, which one?
Well, when you get off the snowboard there and you just start like going in that little area.
Oh yeah,
It's
a little
platformer.
It's a little
surfers.
In retrospect, it's a little anticlimactic for how amazing that opening sequence is.
Yeah.
You just like kind of end up behind a wall in a garden somewhere.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
But what I always appreciated about it's on the other side.
You can touch future. That's definitely English, if there was one to be found in Sonic.
Oh, never mind. So.
Oh my God! Just throw the fucker. Okay.
Yeah, what I always appreciated about this game in particular is just like how the story gets laid out to you. So you probably play through. If you're like me, oh man, I just missed it. You probably play through this level like 20 times before you move over to the dark path, if you're like me. And then you get the dark path and you understand Shadow's whole reason for being. I don't have anything yet. The upgrade system is interesting. It holds your hand and you get upgrades progressively, which is another thing that incentivizes you to go through these levels. I'm like trying to go through all the secret paths and stuff. Oh yeah, there's my spin dash on B like it should be.
Recycle Max.
I'm doing way better at this than Sonic CD. I'm missing some grinds and stuff, but yeah, this is my Sonic game. This and Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh, is that the Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where it's like Dr. Eggman tells him that Sonic's evil and Knuckles tries to fuck with you for a little bit as Sonic?
Yes.
A lot of that? Yeah. That's usually how we gets introduced a lot.
Truck time.
Oh yeah. Wow, it's just like I-95 in real life.
Accurate.
Ah.
You don't have anyone from Jersey cursing you out though, so. Wow.
True.
Disappointing. How could I have done that to myself?
Especially since I usually try to go I-95 south, and that's like so much better than north. Oh my God, that truck is a gun. Oh geez, that's the plot.
Yes.
The military truck. Okay, I always thought it was just like a weird runaway truck.
No.
This is God, wow, this is so fascinating because I don't mean to necessarily be too political, but this frames cops in such a weirdly horrible way. Because it's like, again, here's like a truck that's called like, like gun, like international like government cop group, and it's just like blowing up other people's cars to get to you.
Right.
You're some Avengers level threat.
It's just plowing through downtown. Oof. Not my best work. Not my best work.
Rank D.
Yeah.
Well, there's no D in Sonic, so yeah. We're not done. Sit down, pretty boy! Hello, and welcome to a certain special episode of Sonic Retrospect. I'm RyanCier, and we are here with... Who are you, good sir?
I am the one true blue. I'm not too much well known. Not really have much of a following. I'm kind of a smaller voice on Twitter, and I recently picked up streaming again. Just finished my second playthrough of Frontiers on stream with a little success.
I'm playing Shadow the Hedgehog, Green Hill Zone, everyone's favorite Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Yeah, that I've been seeing it. It's a mod over the original Sonic one, right?
Oh yeah, it's like a reskin and everything. Yeah.
Is that the one using his Game Boy Advance sprite, or did someone just recolor
it definitely. It looks like someone just did like Sonic, really, but recolor because his mohawk is like short, kind of like how Sonic's original mohawk was, and didn't really get long until like Sonic X or whatever. But oh my goodness, so you have huge knowledge. You're a big brain to pick when it comes to Sonic lore and Sonic Retrospect. So just jump right into it here. And by the way, shout out to supporting One True Blue on Twitch and YouTube. What can you tell me was your experience with the very first Sonic game you ever played?
Well, I was a toddler. I to go back into my personal life a little bit. My dad had picked up a Genesis to play when either I was at a daycare, and he picked up Sonic and Knuckles, not Sonic 3, so I didn't get the Sonic and the full experience. 3-4 years old, just jumping on my dad's bed, hanging over the side of it, playing this thing.
It's like the monkey song, yeah.
Eventually got a Game Boy and DS one year for Christmas. And I never got any of the Sonic games on that either. I wouldn't pick up into the series full throttle probably until Sonic Heroes. I remember picking that up and loving it to death. I played so much of it, and I never got the emeralds, and like, okay, I had a fun experience. Then when I finally got interested, because I never trusted my own skill to complete all the special stages, I just wanted to see if you got Supersonic. No, I then figured out you got the last story. And just ever since I heard What I'm Made Of, I started listening to Crush 40 more. I wanted to expand my library. I picked up Sonic Riders. I was gifted a PS3 and Sonic 06 for Christmas. I love this series through the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And it's possibly the worst, I would argue the worst game anyone could ever play. I hate saying that when Sonic 1 has been ported to death, even before Advance came out. It was on the Mega Collection. It was on Mega Collection Plus. It was on, you name it, man. I think even the DS version came out before Genesis, or around the same time, because there was I have it next to me. It was like a Sonic Classics collection.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
Me.
Because I have an emulator on my phone, and it's it's a Game Boy Advance emulator. So I'm playing like all these old Pokemon games, and then I whipped out like Sonic 1991, and you're like, oh, that's the bad one. And I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So here's an interesting dichotomy that often happens with criticism in the community. The difference between 2D and 3D.
Yes.
What can you say on that? Because right now I actually switched games. I'm now playing Sonic Advance 2. I was really big always on Sonic Advance 3, where you could like pair up the different characters, but this emulator doesn't like do the R trigger where you can like use Tails as a pivot launch. So what I have had such good memories with Sonic 2D. My first few games. So when I was about 6-7 years old, they ended up giving me Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, the one where you have a Chow Garden and all this stuff. And that was way before I even knew what Sonic was. And when I started to get a bit more self-aware of what Sonic was, I started to play the advanced games on the Game Boy and Adventure 1. And obviously, shortly after, when I was about 9 years old, Shadow the Hedgehog. And I feel like Shadow the Hedgehog is a bit overly hated because, from what I remember of it, yeah, sure, haha, Mickey Mouse with a gun, but like, it was basically like the platforming I thought was pretty solid, and it felt a little fluid and open world. I liked how every level had like the 3 different things you could do, where it was like, you know, either you could kill all the soldiers or whatever, or like kill all the aliens, or just go and get the emerald, and how that affected the story. And then obviously the nostalgia for me after the Advanced and the Adventures was the Sonic Gems collection, and that's where I originally first played Sonic CD. And I, to this day, love Sonic CD, and I love the Sonic Boom song that went with Sonic CD.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny. Like no one understands me who's not like a Sonic fan. Like they're like, I guess the Sonic Boom song's okay. I'm like, it's not okay. It gives me goosebumps to this day.
Right.
And the Sonic Racing game, terrible. That I will say has terrible controls. Wonderful music. Oh my god!
That's just it with a lot of the anywhere from mediocre to meh games in the series. The game might suck to a lot of people, but the music will always be either no lower than a 10 or no lower than a 9.
Completely. So what can you tell me about? Guess something along the lines of like, what's your opinion on the 2D 3D dichotomy, and what was your take on Shadow the Hedgehog? Do you think it's overhated?
As they jumped into 3D, Sonic Adventure came out to. I remember looking it up, and it was mixed even then. Weird as that game is, as much as the story is just not good. Oh
yeah.
Shadow was he took the lead, he took the charge, he guided the others. He wasn't this grump. He wasn't, I can just be better than Sonic. The blah blah blah, dark nonsense.
Yeah. He had much more gone from anti-hero instead of villain.
Yeah, and then even towards the end of that story, he says this line. It's escaping me at the moment. It's my favorite line from him ever. I will fight like I always have, as he takes off his inhibitor rings and just goes ham on everything, throwing again, once again stating that he is done with his past and he's moving forward. Even the Sonic Encyclopedia said that all the players' choices are mute by the end of the game. It's told in this overarching story where all the events are kind of happening at once. Like Eggman's trying to figure out how to rule the world while the Black Aliens race or Black Arms race is trying to destroy it. So that's why he's out there. Sonic's just trying to save the world. Knuckles, the Chaotix are just trying to hack Eggman's database to see what he's up to. And Gun is just out to, once again, kill Shadow, while also trying to defend the planet, and just the Gun Commander's a bull-headed fool.
Well, I'm playing. I recently played an emulator of Advance 2. Right now, I'm playing the first Advance. Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, that's right. This always did feel interesting. What can you say about the Dips Company? Because that was always like an interesting thing to me. Because I like the Advance, and I never played Rush, but Rush and
I'd let you borrow it sometime. But Rush was again I don't know if they listened to fan feedback or not back then, but it did come out in 06.
That's right, the bad year.
Yeah, we got 3 games in 06. We got Rush, we got, of course, 06. And then we got the Sega Sonic Genesis. Going back to, I would say, Advance 1, maybe not with its level design entirely, but with the, you play this character, you run through the stages, you collect the emeralds, and that's it. And then you go with the new character, Blaze, who has new moves. She can float in the air. She's a bit slower, and she can't jump as high as Sonic. But she can float. And her level design is, I don't know if it's, I forgot if it's one for one the same as Sonic's, but the levels are out of order and are in a different order, and the story is different, and the music is also different. From what I remember, the control was the worst part of that game. It was
Yes,
not.
so definitely like the turning. And when you
Yeah.
go straight, it's one thing. But when you have to turn, it's like, oh, everything sucks. And
Yeah,
it is greaterly pronounced the further on in the levels, especially like with this one thing called like there's like a weird city level, but for some reason it has like Egyptian like things going on in it as well. So it's like some weird like Egyptian city, and man, when I say that it is yeah, it definitely brings out the worst in the turning. And it reminds me of like the Silent Hill. I believe it's like one of the first 2 Silent Hill games have like what's called tank controls. And it's like, why did they give racing tank controls? Especially because you're a body of like an animal. You're not like a car. Like, it would make somewhat more sense for Eggman's or Robotnik's and Amy's cars. Because for some reason they get cars, because I guess women can't run. But like, yeah.
No,
so...
Amy at the time wasn't fast. Her first appearance in CD, you see her running, but she doesn't have that speed that Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic have.
She's out of shape. She's out of shape, yeah.
And then would never be seen again until some cameos and then a fightable boss in Mania. But the
Got
next
his ass.
racing game, huh?
Just killed Eggman. Oh, sorry, made him faint. Anyway.
Did Sonic Riders come out first? Yes, you had Sonic Riders, which is amazing. At least to my opinion, I've played enough of that to really, get behind it and have enough skill right now. Now, maybe not to be in like the tournament setting with all of these updates. There is a Sonic Tournament Edition, Sonic Riders Tournament Edition. It's a fan-created mod, and there's a fairly large community for it. Sega is, of course, aware of it. They have to be. Characters, new super forms for the other hedgehogs.
Yeah, I only played a little bit of Sonic Riders 2. I ended up getting it through a rental program called GameFly way back in the day, and...
I forgot GameFly is even still around.
That's crazy. And I played it for like a good month, and I recall the thing that's memorable about it to me is the fact that it looked like they revamped characters from Sonic the Fighters. If you remember, there were characters in Sonic the Fighters called it was like Bark the Polar Bear, Bean the Dynamite, and like a Fang the Sniper. And in Sonic Riders, you have Storm the Albatross, and then this like weird like green, also bird guy with like a mohawk who looks like a cooler version of Bean, Jet the Hawk or something.
Funny, not to interrupt you, but they did draw some sort of family tree, and there is a small relation between the Babylonians and Bean.
Oh, wow, okay. I remember I had mentioned in another video that Super Monkey Ball I was always bad at it, but it was like fun bad, and the one game that actually like made me feel genuinely upset because I was so bad at it was Katamari. I never got along with Katamari. That was nuts.
Katamari. I never played that one. It looks utter chaos. You just have to get this meatball as big as you can get it, and then this guy from space eats it. I don't remember. But because Sega couldn't cram that game down to the size to work on the Wii, they split Sonic Team into 2 different teams to make this a totally original debut game on the Wii. Oh! Oh, that was sick!
Right. I'm trying to play a ROM hack right now called like Amy and Cream. It's the Sonic 1, but it's Amy and Cream. It's just awful because Amy doesn't like jump into a ball. She like jumps tall, and so she doesn't like hurt enemies. I have to use Cream, but Cream's just like walking around.
He does that in Advance 2, I believe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, yeah. That's when they get their first real 2D like debut.
Yeah. Amy couldn't jump on enemies. She didn't jump as high. I think she had Knuckles' jump height. And she couldn't just jump on enemies. She had to jump and you press B to use her hammer.
Yeah.
She couldn't roll down hills either, from what I remember, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, apparently I'm learning the controls now. Apparently, it's XS on the keyboard. That's interesting. Oh, oh. Dr. Eggman is in a helicopter. Helicopter, helicopter!
Oh no, please. Oh, memes.
Cream is hitting Eggman for me. Thank you so much. What's
Oh,
a
is
little
Cream,
eggs without a little
sending
cream?
cheese?
No, she's hitting him herself. Also, Cheese is in the form of me right now, so that's crazy. Cheese turned into Amy.
Cheese is broken in advance too. I
Oh, yeah.
remember watching enough of a Let's Play of it. You just stand there and keep pressing B. Cheese, get him! And just boom, 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 destroy bosses with it.
Actually, Cheese is hitting him a little bit. This is so weird. Oh, man. Oh, we got him. Okay. Woo! So, let's see here. Did you ever play... what was your take on this weird Sonic RPG, The Dark Brotherhood? This was a game for the DS, and it was... I never really liked it, but it has its fans, so...
I can't say I'm a fan either, and I'm an RPG nut. I do want to see Sonic take another RPG, but that game really burned, before I get into the game, really burned Sega as a whole. A few months after the game came out, Ken Penders, an ex-writer of the Sonic Archie comics, sued Sega for using his characters. He wanted to claim that he owned, could be wrong, he wanted to own a lot of the characters that were referenced. He owned Shade and the whole Echidna clan outside of Knuckles. And all of these other characters that were just nonsensical. Was going for a Paper Mario-ish kind of battle system, where you had your actions, but you would slide your finger or the stylus across the touch screen. You would have these like puzzles, mini games, tap here, almost like rhythm game-ish.
Yeah.
It was just weird, and you didn't have to grind too much, but I remember the last bit of the game being a slog, and just was not very fun or interesting. You had different types. Sonic was a power type for some reason.
Yeah, power bottom. Okay. Word.
But it was weird. I didn't play it too much. I remember doing like 1 or 2 playthroughs of it, and then getting rid of it. I think I regret it because I do kind of want to own a complete Sonic series. But I'll never go back to it, I don't think. I've had my fill with it.
Yeah. So, trying to reach a wrap-up point here, what are your conclusive thoughts on the Advanced series, and what is your most favorite 3D Sonic game?
I guess I'll end on my favorite, and then talking a bit about it. But you said the Advanced series. Again, I haven't played much of it, but if you want to include Rush Adventure, and the Colors, because that was also made by Dimps, the DS version. I recently replayed through Advance. I have the Game Boy player with the disc. I remember finding that a few years ago for $70 complete. I thought the guy was a fool, and I tried to tell him. He's like, "No, I'll give you $70. I'll take $70 for it." Okay. But I did recently play through it. The special stages are not good. The idea of it is, but trying to have 3D depth on the Game Boy Advance, no. Just no. But I think that was a great return to the 2D kind of gameplay. Amazing game. I would say it is a 9 out of 10, or 8 out of 10, because the final few zones, they were teetering. The level design was wasn't as good. It was a little trollish.
And what game is this? Sonic Colors?
Advance.
Advance, the first one.
Advance,
Okay.
yes.
Gotcha.
Didn't play Advance 2. That was Cream's debut. I remember from the Let's Play I watched a while ago, years, that the special stages, they bring back Zero from, was it Adventure? Yeah, and Amy's story. You're running away from this robot. They bring back Zero. You're running away from him while trying to collect rings. And that was that special stage. The story was surrounded around Eggman again capturing animals. Was this the one where he split the world in pieces? With
Oh, I think Sonic
because it
Advance
wasn't
3.
he didn't just do it in Unleashed. He did it in one of the Advance games.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did it in Sonic Advance 3 because one of the like zones is Angel Island.
Yes, that's right. That's right, because he takes over Angel Island. But again, I don't have much to talk about Adventure 2. It had introduced Cream and Vanilla, and I believe Emerald.
Gameral was
about
this like
that?
robot? It's a robot called G-Meryl or something.
Gemeral.
Gemeral, yeah.
There was Emerald and Gemeral. Gemeral was Eggman's recreation of Emerald, if I remember.
Okay.
Battle's story kind of introduces Emerald more. I think that happens in between Advance 1 and 2. But, anyways, Advance 3, that level design isn't really good. Again, poor level design, great music. I do really enjoy the team-up mechanics, bringing in...
And what about Advance 3 was bad level design?
You go? You finish?
Remember, I thought you just kind of went through it all, really. It was pretty linear.
I'll play through them one day. Advance 2 is, you can get it for like less than $30. I might rebuy it, as much as I hate to say that.
Yeah.
On to Advance, the rest of Advance 3. Again, yeah, that team-up mechanics, you just had so much you could play as Tails and Knuckles, Amy and... No, Shadow wasn't in there. Amy and Knuckles, Sonic and Tails. You had this team-up special moves, like I remember, was it like Sonic would hop on top of Knuckles and he would glide or something? Or no, Sonic or Knuckles would carry Sonic.
Which would be like I definitely like, Shadow the Hedgehog is definitely like an interesting aesthetic, in terms of where Sonic was, kind of in that like 4Kids era. But it also seems like the Sonic game that really encapsulates Sonic's competence in terms of what it can really do and how far it can go and stuff. It definitely has to be Sonic Colors.
Oh, really? I never knew you played Colors.
I played a little bit of it, and then I just kind of would watch Let's Plays of it, and I concluded that, like, I mean, it was just clearly, like, I mean, a lot of people liked it. Yes, it was, you know, it was of its time. It was definitely like a Mario Galaxy, Mario Odyssey, but, like, it was still very much, and I had a poster of it. I had a poster of it up in my room, and just the whole Wisp mechanic and, you know, entering this new world, and then just, yeah, all the ways in which Sonic changed with the Wisps, the ways that they would... Because I think one of the things that's interesting about a platformer, and this is... I know that this is such a nouveau opinion. This is not a boomer opinion at all. This makes me sound like a little millennial boy. But I think that a good thing about platformers is an interesting level design that immerses you, and not one that tries to just be harrowing and difficult for the sake of being difficult. And I think Sonic Colors, when you look at the old like adventure games from the 2000s, yeah, they're cute, but like there is this level of like, there's a sense of like, ooh, we have to put this in here to be difficult arduous. Like one of my worst memories of the Sonic Adventure 2 battle was Knuckles looking for the shards of the chaos of the Master Emerald. Like, I know that was in large part put in there to be like, hey, this will slow him down. I'll hate this. Or like Big's fishing minigame in Sonic Adventure 1. Whereas like in Sonic Colors, there's much more confidence in level design, where it's like, no, we're here to make this interesting. We want you to get immersed. We want you to try all these power-ups and feel in the world and in the zone. And there's enemies here and there, and there's traps here and there, but it's not too difficult. And I think that's good, because that seems to immerse, and it gets you excited to play the next level. Whereas if in like an older game, there's always this feeling of like, oh my god.
It's a very confident Sega put it out there to do one thing, and they did it well enough. They streamlined the story, they took out a lot of the nonsense, and just had it Sonic and Tails versus Eggman, heroes versus the bad guy. Story aside, as it's well known, I don't like the story of Colors too much. It's simple, and I admire that. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's
of course.
a decent game.
I don't think it's interesting you say story. I get that obviously the whole thing was, oh, Eggman's messing up this planet of wisps, and you have to save the wisps and use the wisps to destroy the wisps. But like the wisps are basically the Infinity Stones. But like, I didn't think there was much of a story to it actually at all. So
not really. But it was also the start where Sonic was a much different character to, the cool guy. He's now very of the 2010 era, where it was, the cartoons of the time where they were trying way too hard to be funny.
Yeah. Did he get a new voice actor in Colors?
Roger Craig Smith. That was the first major game, but Roger Craig Smith first came in Sonic Free Riders. I didn't play much of that one because just the Kinect was a terrible device. If you would have given me a controller, maybe I would have been able to stand to play Free Riders.
Another. From one Shadow the Hedgehog reskin to another. Oh my goodness, this has been a good section of the retrospect of Sonic the Hedgehog for the up and coming, of course, Sonic Frontiers, and the fact that we're experiencing the post 30th anniversary post Nut Clarity. And with that, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
Go check out One
Hope I
True
didn't
Blue.
stutter enough and ruin things.
Oh no, and this will be heavily edited, of course. Gotta get that part out where I said that bad thing about Rouge. No, but
I remember
oh yeah, jeez, ooh, canceled. Oh, speaking of getting canceled, wow, I just got stabbed. All right. As I try not to die, and then die anyway, it looks like it's game over for this, and game over for this episode. Y'all have a good day. Subscribe to One True Blue. Check him out on Twitch. Where can we really see you? Are you more on YouTube or Twitch?
More on Twitch. I recently thought on going back onto YouTube a little bit. I should have a collection showcase, things unrelated to Sonic. Of course, I don't have proper ways of recording, so I'll be using my phone to do unboxing. Like I just got my favorite RPG of 2017 came out on PS5, and I've already been playing a bit of it, and I pre-ordered the collector's edition off of Falcom's website. But I'll probably do a re-unboxing of that, and probably do a few collection showcases. Maybe Sonic will pop up here and there. But yeah, you'll find me mostly on Twitch. I stream when I can, trying to nail down a schedule. Fridays are when I'll probably stream the most often. It'll be, again, mostly Sonic related, but right now I'm playing through 2016's Doom, because that game is junk food.
Yeah.
It is. Alrighty. As always, guys, be cool, be wild, be groovy. Peace out.
Be cool, be wild, be groovy. Peace out. Don't fall in the pits of death. Don't do it. Well, that was the Sonic Retrospect. I peed, farted, and sharded hearted, and you just watched all of it. Woo!